Welcome to Game Crunch, your weekly video game podcast. My name is Mike Anastasia. With me today we have Brandon.
Hello.
We're here talking about games and things.
Things and games.
Yeah. It's new exciting. Modern Warfare 3, Like a Dragon. Oh, those are both new games.
Yeah, they are.
I cleaned up a game off my backlog, as promised. And Game Awards.
Yep, that's basically it. I watched the Indie Direct.
I watched the 3 seconds. I watched maybe the last 5 minutes of it.
I watched the opening, and I watched the whole thing. And the only thing you needed to see was the first game they showed.
What was that, Shantae?
It was the Shantae game that never released. Because what they said was they were only going to release it on Game Boy Advance. And you had to buy a Game Boy Advance copy, because they're redoing the unreleased Game Boy Advance game, Shantae.
Uh-huh.
And now they're like, JK, we're releasing on Switch too.
Oh, okay. Not too shabby.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know. The games that I saw near the end, they looked fine. But I was like, okay. I mean, there's stuff that I might buy here, but nothing that I'm need to buy.
I'll go over some of them that are actually kind of good, but we'll get there.
Okay, yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and start the show, I guess.
You got the new stuff this week, so let's get into it.
Okay. So I sent you a picture.
Mm-hmm.
It was the day after Call of Duty launched.
Mm-hmm.
And it was me already getting to max level.
Yeah, you said you got there very fast.
I did get there very fast. So the game launched on, I want to say, Friday, the 10th.
Mm-hmm.
And I got there I reached max level at 11:48 p.m. on the 11th.
Okay.
So, there's really not much to this. The campaign is 3 hours, and it's bad. It's bad. It's really bad. The multiplayer are Modern Warfare 2 maps in Modern Warfare 3 for some reason, and I mean they're alright maps. They're good. They're fine. I had a lot of fun playing them, but there's really not a lot keeping me there at all. I got to max level, and I was like, done. I'm mostly just trying to get the Battle Pass stuff that I talked to you about before the other week, where it was the spawn stuff and whatnot. That carried over to this game also, so I've been working on that Battle Pass in this game. But everything just feels like nothing, more or less. The only thing that I'd say is actually kind of interesting is there's an open world zombies mode. Legitimately open world. You essentially use the same map that you would use in Warzone, their battle royale mode, and it's a zombies mode instead, where you can't fight each other. You're just working together, you and 4 other teams, and it's kind of cool. I actually had a lot of fun playing that one. Again, it's a lot like Warzone, like DMZ, but with zombies, and it's interesting. But overall, this game's just kind of bad. It's not good. It's here, and that's it, really. I don't have much to say about it. Did I have fun playing it with friends? Yeah, I had a lot of fun playing it with friends. I had a blast playing it with friends. But, this has, I think, officially, for me, after all these years, become, the, FIFA or Madden of first-person shooters. Yeah, I know a lot of people felt the same way for a very long time, but I really didn't. But it's just nothing. It's so nothing. It just feels like an update of maps, and that's it. And guns. And there's not even that many guns here. And the new way you unlock guns is stupid. You do daily challenges to unlock gun parts and stuff, and it's dumb. Because most of the time, the daily challenges don't fucking work. So I don't get the gun parts unlocked. And I'm just kind of alright, well, I guess I'm stuck with this fucking weapon. Or I pay money and get a different version of this weapon, which I'm not going to fucking do. And it feels so very nothing. It's just a nothing of a game. I had fun playing the nothing of a game because I was playing it with friends, but it's nothing. It's literally nothing.
Yeah, that's really selling it. Yeah, no, I don't know. I think we talked about it not that long ago, but we really do not need these yearly releases of, I think, nearly anything anymore. Really.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think that, in this day and age, especially with online connectivity and DLC, it's very difficult to justify it.
Well, I mean, look at Fortnite, for instance. There is an update to Fortnite every week that changes the game. Adds new weapons, adds new areas, changes parts of the already existing area, all this shit. And, like, it's free to play, and they've kept the game fresh, and the only thing they do is buy skins. Not skins and cosmetics that, you know, make the game better for other players. No, it's just skins. Like, it doesn't make you a better player, it's just, you want that outfit, pay up $20. But, like, the game is ever evolving and ever changing without me having to buy a Fortnite 2 or anything like that, you know?
Yeah.
And even then, the game's been free to play forever. So, like, just do that. Like, literally, just do that for your other games. It's easy. Just do it. I don't know, it's stupid.
Yes. Yes, it is. But, I don't know. I like I said before, I'll be interested to see if, you know, Microsoft makes changes to it. Because they don't really seem in the business of doing yearly updates.
No.
Maybe it will change with this, but I definitely think, you know, dollar for dollar, you know, you'll probably be better off, you know, going with more of a, you know, make a game, support it for a couple of years with like decent upgrades.
Do like a 3-year lifespan, you know?
Yeah.
And then have your other team be making a new one in the process, like while they're taking that time. Because, you know, there's Sledgehammer, there's Treyarch, and then there's Infinity Ward. There are 3 teams that work on Call of Duty. So just rotate out every 3 years.
Yeah. Totally reasonable. Is that will happen? Nobody knows. But...
No, it won't. But yeah, it sucks. It's not bad. Like, it's not a bad game, right? It's not a good game. It's just the game of all time. That's it. It's just a game. That's it. It's nothing. I think that's worse than being like something is incredibly bad or something is really, really good. Just saying it's just there. It just feels so nothing, you know?
Just phoning it in. Yeah.
So there's that. A game that isn't phoning it in, that is actually incredible, though, is Like a Dragon Gaiden. I can't say a lot about this game because you have to play 6 other games to get to it. And if I were to tell you the plot of it, it would literally spoil like 5 games. So we have to kind of tiptoe around that. But I will say, this is called Like a Dragon Gaiden. It stars Juryu, which is... And this is already kind of spoiling something, so sorry. It stars Kiryu, who is undercover as a spy. And it's very weird. He does like the whole Clark Kent thing and wears like glasses and everything. And everyone that sees him's like, "Yo, you're Kiryu." He's like, "No, I'm not." And everyone's just like, no one buys it. No one fucking buys it. It's hilarious. It's like the exact opposite of like Superman, like where everyone's like, "Oh, Clark Kent." They're just like, "Oh, you're the guy you're pretending not to be," like just instantly. And it's very fun. It's got a fun combat system. It's got an interesting like Coliseum fighting idea here. It's got some new kind of cool places, and this is like bridging the gap between Yakuza 6 and Like a Dragon, which was Yakuza 7, and now Yakuza 8. So this bridges the gap between those 3 games, because Yakuza 8, which is Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, comes out in January. And this game released early, and actually, if you finish it, you get a demo, a pretty substantial demo, like 2 or 3 hours, I think, of Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. And this is like the game that explains what one character was doing during Yakuza 7 when he didn't show up. And it's actually got some really cool things here. Like, you go to some of the places in Yakuza 7, which is the RPG Yakuza game that I talked about before in the past. You go to some of those places in this game, and they're like mentioning the main protagonist of Like a Dragon Yakuza 7, and this is supposed to be how you and him end up crossing paths and inevitably meeting up with each other in Hawaii in the 8th game that comes out in January. And it's a really like interesting thing to see from this character's perspective as opposed to the character you're playing as in Yakuza 7. So I like what they're doing here. It's really good. I'm having to tiptoe around a lot of things because even like mentioning someone's name is like a spoiler. So, yeah.
Okay.
This game's incredible. It's really fun, and it's on Game Pass, so you can play it on Game Pass. I would not recommend it if you haven't played Yakuza 0 through 6. But if you have played and went straight to Yakuza 7, I would probably recommend this game if you like skip straight to the RPG game, so you could see what Yakuza 0 through 6 was like, and also understand the plot of Yakuza 8, which comes out in January. So good game, really fun.
Okay, sounds good. I knew you were looking forward to that one, so
I was so happy when I saw like the day before it released. They were like, "Oh, by the way, we're releasing on Game Pass day and date," and I was like, "What?"
Yeah, that is really nice. That's a really big deal.
It's leading more to the maybe Microsoft and Sega got something cooking theory, because next week the new no, not next week. In 3 days, the new Persona game releases on Game Pass the same day it releases everywhere else.
Which game?
Persona 5 Tactica.
Oh, mm-hmm.
The Fire Emblem Persona 5 game.
Yeah, no, I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, that and Persona 3 Reloaded has already been announced to be a Game Pass Day 1 game also. So the remake of Persona 3 is also Game Pass Day 1.
Yeah, so obviously Sega's getting a pretty good chunk of this deal. Although at this point, I think Microsoft wouldn't dare try to acquire anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
Just squeezing Activision through that finish line
barely
unscathed.
Yeah. Yep. But you know what?
What?
There are a lot of people that are talking about how the games that have been released by Activision since Microsoft acquired them are bad. And it's like, bro, no way did Microsoft in 2 weeks destroy an entire Call of Duty game. You fucking idiot.
Yeah, that would take some skill, which clearly they don't have at making games.
That's true. They don't. Let me remind you, Redfall released this year.
Yeah, Redfall released this year. Starfield released this year. Yeah.
That one hurts.
Yeah, I think it does for a lot of people.
We'll get to that in a little bit, though.
Tangentially come up again. What else? What else you got?
I didn't really play that much else. I've been playing like Dead Cells off and on repeatedly, doing the Castlevania DLC, which is just so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I'm basically just playing CS2 and then a lot of Call of Duty. I mean, that's really it.
Okay. Yeah, so I'll talk about what I've been playing.
All right, give it to me.
Finished the game off my backlog, which I threatened last week because I said I had started it. And now it's done. Fire Emblem Engage.
How is that?
Fucking stupid. Oh my god. So I gotta put this out there. The game is nearly a year old at this point, so spoiler alerts. I assume that anyone who cares has already played it. But I am gonna talk about the end of this story. Because it's so dumb. It's so dumb. And that was the biggest complaint. I think every time we talked about this game, we're like, oh, the gameplay is good, but the story is really dumb. And it's so dumb that it drags down your experience with the game. And I think that especially those last, I think 6 chapters that I had between, that's all I had left. 6 chapters. Just really epitomize how dumb this is. And I was thinking about it too, because there's some things. It's it's all about there's these rings that have these magical Fire Emblem characters, and you get them. Okay, for an anniversary game, sure, we'll play along. That's fine. But then I was thinking about it. It's we got to stop this big dragon. Okay, sure. But then you have your big bad guys, which is like the 4 hounds, and I was thinking about it. I'm like, you fight them all the time, and they never die. They never seem to die. They just kind of come back again. You beat them, and then they're like, oh, here's another set of rings. Come back and fight me again. You're fighting the same people over and over again. It's not like the other Fire Emblem games where you beat someone, they're like, they're gone for good. Yeah. So anyways, I start up at chapter 20, and it kind of starts off similarly. It's like, oh, you got to fight so and so, and then you got to fight another so and so, and then there's the big revelation, which honestly, unless you are special, you saw it coming like a million miles away. Oh no, the person who said that they're your mom is not really your mom, and
Whoa!
it's the big bad dragon, your actual parent. Okay, yeah,
Wow, I
nobody
never would have guessed.
never would have guessed. Million
Never in
years.
a million years.
So, anyways, yeah, so you find this out and you're like, oh, crushed, but everyone's like, oh no, you're a good person, and then you're like, oh yeah, I am. I guess it's not a big deal. So you keep going, and then like the next battle, you're like you beat someone else, and then you finally get all 12 rings. Well, guess what happens as soon as you get all 12 rings? Someone smacks you and you drop them all, and then the bad dragon gets them and raises his other con. And you're like,
Hold up. Someone actually smacks you?
yeah, I think they smack you if I remember. I don't remember how. I just remember you get hit with something and then you drop them all. And I'm just like, okay, this is dumb. But whatever. There's a whole purpose of this game was to collect these. And not only did you have to collect them, like you had already started collecting them at the beginning of the game, and then they sold them from you using some bullshit magic reason. And then you get them all back finally, and then they just smack you, and then you drop them all, and then you like instantly are like, oh yeah, no, we just did what we were going to do this whole time. We told you just because you collected them all, and then you walked right back to us and we beat you. Okay, so that's dumb. But then you get killed,
Okay.
and then your secret sister, which also obvious, the one character who's like, I'm looking for my sibling, who's a dragon, and you know that they're looking for a dragon sibling, and you just happen to be a dragon. Just coincidentally, you happen to be their sibling. No surprise. They apparently have magical powers that can raise the dead. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Look at that.
Yep. So now you're turned into a corrupted enemy. But instead of being like the other mindless corrupted, you're still pretty cognizant and you're doing really well. And then you go to I don't remember which order these things happen in, so this could be slightly off, but it doesn't really matter because it's all kind of there. But anyways, so then you're like, oh no, I've been raised from the dead, but I'm fine, and then I can do this thing, and then you get the rings back. But then as soon as you get the rings back, because remember they smack them on the ground, then you start dying forever and you're like disappearing. But then Marth comes out of nowhere, like Ring Marth, and all the other ring people from Fire Emblem are like, oh hey, we forgot to tell you we have a super secret power, and we could grant your wish and bring you back from the dead.
Brother, this
And
is someone's fan fiction.
yeah, no, seriously. Yeah, so they're like, oh yeah, we have a secret power. We can grant a wish and we never told anyone this before. So we're gonna grant your wish and bring you back to life so you can save the world. Oh, okay, whatever. So they grant your wish and they bring you back to life as a living emblem. So now you are the 13th emblem. You are
no.
the fire emblem that brings them all together.
You've got to be shitting me.
I wish I was. And then you're like, oh, you go and fight one of the four hounds again. Well, I think two of them this time. And so then you beat them. This time they're like dying. So like, oh no, we're gonna die for real this time. And then like the one lady's like, oh, you beat me, but I feel bad now, so I'm gonna give you the next thing that you had to destroy like these spires or something. And there's three of them. So you destroyed the first one with them there. And they're like, the second one, this lady's like, the second one's in a place you can't get because it's under a lake. And she's like, but luckily, I am the last and most powerful of this type of dragon. And I just made you a potion so that you can alter this terrain. And it's like, okay, it's a random thing to throw in for no reason. But whatever. I mean, couldn't you just have them go to the spot? Like, why does it matter? I don't know. So you use this potion, but it doesn't change the terrain. It like makes you time travel back in time, and then you're fighting your past self, and then the people that you just killed again, because they also lived in the past. And yeah, it makes no sense. And then anyways, so that happens, but then because the dragon raised the continent, even though he destroyed the spires, he has this portal open, and then you have to go through the portal to go and stop him, and then you finally beat him, and then he's like, well, I guess before you beat him, he's like, well, I really just wanted like to find my like original emblem thing and like the emblem of foundation or whatever, and they're like, whatever. So then you beat him, and then he dies. And then Marth's like, oh no, if you close the portal, we'll disappear forever. And you're like, oh no. But then Marth makes you close the portal, and then they all disappear. But after each of them individually says goodbye, like they all have time to say goodbye forever. But then, I don't know, you get like coronated as like King Dragon or whatever, and then you say, Marth, I missed you to your ring, but then Marth and the other ones start like glowing, like, oh, and they say together, like, oh, we'll be back again someday, and like, okay, whatever. And then, like usual Fire Emblems, they have like the kind of like goodbye, like epilogue things, like where it's like, here's a paragraph of things that will happen. And like, they were just so weird in this game. Like, one of them's like, oh, this character becomes king, and he dies almost immediately afterwards, and is the shortest lived king in the realm. It's like, what? Like, okay, I mean, I guess that could happen. Like, that's, again, I guess it's an ending. But, like, they're just all so random. They're all, like, so dark and random. And I'm like, I don't understand this game. And I hate everyone in this game, anyways. So, I mean, I guess that's fine. But, yeah, no, it was just, like, a horribly convoluted story. Most of the things that happened didn't even need to happen. It didn't even have a purpose. I think it's the other thing too. Like, a lot of things that happened didn't have a purpose in the story. Like, they just had things to happen, and then they're like you said, it's almost like someone's like fever dream, like story that they just kind of like came up with, and it just makes no sense. But the game's finally done. I'm done with it. I'm not going to bag. I didn't do like once I decided I was going to finish it again, I stopped doing things like paralogs and stuff because I'm like, nope, not going back to these again.
This
We're never
just
going back to
sounds
them.
so bad.
Yeah,
This is
no,
like
these last
Tumblr
6
fan
chapters.
fiction.
Yeah, these last 6 chapters did nothing to change my opinion of this game. If anything, it made it worse. Um, like I don't know. I'm glad I finished it.
Mm-hmm.
I could say that. And like I said, the gameplay itself pretty solid. Like when you're playing
So
it,
where does this stack on your Game of the Year nominee?
if like we talked about before, like there's a possibility that this game makes the list just because of numbers. If it does, it's 10.
Can you do me a favor and play some more fucking games? Don't let this be on a list. Unless
I don't
it's
think
like
it will be.
biggest disappointment. Like, don't let this be on a list. Like, play more games like I told you. Play Dave the Diver, play Pizza Tower, play anything. Just don't play this.
As I said, it would take like, as I said, I think I've surpassed 10 2023 games already. So I don't think it's making the list. But I'm just saying, like, this is.
You
like,
play Mario Wonder. You're gonna play Mario RPG. I think you're good. I think you're good.
I know, I think I'm good too. I mean, I think I had like 3 or 4 games just from the end of this year that would be fine for. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Listen, you played
8,
Dead Space.
9, 10. Yeah, I think I have like 11 games right now, so it should be okay.
Yeah, okay.
Oh no, and I didn't even count some other ones. 12. Yeah, no, there's definitely there's a few, so it will slide off that list. It won't.
Thank fuck, because it's bad and it doesn't deserve to be even mentioned again. This should be the last time we mention this game, unless it's like biggest disappointment. Okay?
Yeah, I don't think there's anything
agree on that?
redeeming about it. Well, like I said, the DLC was okay. I like the DLC.
Yeah, but there's
DLC
better DLC that came out this year.
I mean, debatably, but yeah, I mean, but at least
I mean, the literal Cyberpunk DLC is better alone, and then so is the Castlevania Dead Cells DLC. So is the Resident Evil 4 DLC. So is I could keep going.
But in terms of core game to DLC game, the ratio of like improvements astronomical.
Is
So
Cyberpunk wins still? Correct. Yeah, you're right.
but yeah, no, this should be the end of any reasonable conversation for Fire Emblem.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I would even say it's not even that good of a bad game. It is just a very
It's nothing. It's nothing. It could join Call of Duty in the corner as a nothing game.
it's a nothing game.
Here we go.
Yeah, no, I think so. You know what though, it just really made me. I think if anything though, it just really made me want like a good Fire Emblem game. That's what I really want. Like
Play
I want
Persona
just like
Tactica and see if that's a good Fire Emblem game for you.
I don't want to play Persona Tactica because
Why?
my issue is not like the gameplay. Like I said, that is not the issue. The gameplay in Fire Emblem was fine. The issue is the story. Like I just want like a really
Do you
nice,
not think a Persona game is going to have a good story?
but not this type of like I want like a Fire Emblem story. I don't want like a Persona story. I want like save the kingdom kind of like grand overarching. Like you know what? Like Fire Emblem, what was it? Path of Radiance. They're like, oh, I'm like a poor mercenary boy, and then all of a sudden, like you're basically you rescue the princess, and then you stop the Mad King, and then you're basically like royalty. Yeah, like I want like some grand kind of like progression like that. Like I don't want this bullshit where it's like I'm the Prince Dragon, and then I don't know, you don't do anything the whole time, and then nothing makes sense. Like I want a story that's actually like entertaining, engaging, and like character building, and like. But I want, but the thing with Fire Emblem is I really like I like I like the kind of more like medieval setting for that. That's kind of what I'm looking for, I think. Because I mean, like Advance Wars too, like not really fitting that like bill for me either right now. Just finishing it. I just want more like that classic Fire Emblem. And supposedly, like they're also been working on the remake of one of the Super Nintendo Fire Emblems, which has supposedly been in development. And I'm sure that's probably like a next year game. It seems like so. Yeah, that's kind of more what I want. Something like that. Not that there's anything wrong with these other tactics games. There's nothing wrong with Persona Tactics. It's just not what I want. So I just want like a real nice like classic Fire Emblem game.
Okay.
Not whatever the fuck this is. So
gotcha.
But I think that's all I've been playing. I booted up Advance Wars 1+2 to kind of start getting into that again. I didn't make any progress. I tried to map twice and then I lost twice, and then I was like, well, that's enough progress for today. So yeah, that was it. Oh wait,
all right.
did we talk about Mario Kart things were not last week, right?
Yeah, I think they were. I have
week.
not played them yet.
Yeah, they just came out. Yeah,
I'm playing them Saturday. How are they?
Good. It's over.
Nice.
Mario Kart's over.
Nice.
I'm trying to think. What? I don't know. Let's do Mario Kart courses. You got Donkey Kong, one where you blast out of the barrel. That's fun. Don't really care much for the city courses, but they're there. They're not bad. They're just there. They're just whatever. What other ones were in there? The Daisy one I didn't care about. It's just kind of another Daisy course. Oh, Rosalina's Winter Wonderland or whatever. That's fine. That's the problem. Like at this point, like all the big ones have already been done. So it's just kind of like you're just picking and choosing like the ones that you miss from before that just haven't gotten through yet.
Yeah.
So, but they did a good job making sure like all the most notable ones were like done. What another Rainbow Road, like the Wii Rainbow Road, don't care. Like I feel like the Rainbow Roads. I think we talked about it last week. They all feel the same at some point to me, anyways. And they added some new characters in here too. But yeah, I mean it's Mario Kart. If you play the other 6 DLC waves, it's kind of more of the same. I don't remember what the new course is in this. Something Piranha Plant, and it was fine.
I don't know.
It was actually, it was not like in terms of like ranking the new courses. Like that Yoshi's Island one was like amazing. It's literally one of the best courses. One of my favorite new courses in Mario Kart. Period. Definitely one of the best course. Definitely the best course of the DLC in terms of like new stuff. But that one's good. Everything else, falls below this. I think this one's more enjoyable than some of the other ones that they put out. Most of the other ones, this Piranha Plant one, um, but it's not memorable enough for me to remember the name. So there's that. Definitely more excited than the bathtub one from the last wave. But yeah, no, it's kind of bittersweet. It rolls credits once you finish it too, because it did credits for like the DLC stuff. It's like, hey, here's all the stuff that happened with the DLC. Here's all the people that helped with it. So that was kind of bittersweet. And you're like, oh, it's been like 2 years of playing this, and now here's the credits. But it's fun. I mean, if you like the past courses, you probably have the pass anyways, so go to try if you're listening. But otherwise, yeah, nothing too surprising here, good or bad. Just it's more Mario Kart. It's a nothing update.
Damn, sure does seem like a lot of things are a nothing.
Yeah. All right, you're ready to move on to.
I am indeed ready to move on to. I don't know what the rest of your sentence was going to be.
That's the Game Awards. That's really, I think it's the rest of the episode.
But actually, you know what? Before we get there, let's quickly go over the Indie World Showcase. A few of the things that stood out.
Oh yeah.
I would recommend. Mm-hmm. All right. First of all, the big one was Shantae Advance: Risky's Revolution.
Mm-hmm.
This is a canceled Shantae game that was put into basically the vault for like 20 years, more or less. And they've now completed the entire game. And originally, they were just going to release it as a Game Boy Advance game that you would buy in an actual Game Boy Advance box that you could play on actual Game Boy Advances. But they made the decision to also release it on Switch. And it's coming in 2024. And we saw that. And it looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
A few other things that stood out to me here. Core Keepers. This is a great game. I've played this on PC. It is a very fun and interesting game, similar to something like Terraria or Minecraft or like Stardew Valley, that sort of thing. But it involves being underground the entire time inside of a cave and trying to figure out the mysteries of the place that you are kind of trapped in, more or less. And you can play with up to 8 players. It's very good. Highly recommend that one. One game that I have not played that has been on my wanting to play list for a very long time that they showed is Backpack Hero, which released on Switch today. That game just looks like so much fun. So Backpack Hero is essentially a inventory management game where that is how you battle. Instead of doing actual battles, you like manage your inventory inside of a backpack. I don't exactly understand how it works, but it's supposedly very good. And it's one I've been looking at for a while because it's like a puzzle RPG game and it looks like a lot of fun. This one, it's just something that's very different. Like, it's not your normal kind of game. Like, you start with certain amounts of inventory, and then you, like, come up on enemies, and you have to, like, click different parts of your inventory, such as, like, the sword and everything, and then the shield inside your backpack, and, like, you can organize them in certain ways so that they combo off of each other. It's interesting. It's very neat, and I don't exactly understand how it works, but it looks like a very fun game. So that came out today, and I recommend looking into that just because it's so different. A pre-order for Outer Wilds Archaeologist Edition came out, available today for pre-order, comes out on December 7th. This is a really, really good indie game. Like, this is one of those games that's kind of, if I don't tell you anything, it makes the game better. Just know it's like an exploration-based game with puzzle solving, and it's very different from any other game of that variety. And it's releasing on Switch, with a physical edition releasing next year, and releasing on December 7th digitally. I recommend this one. Wholeheartedly recommend this one. 100%. So yeah. There were some other things in here that looked kind of interesting. Heavenly Bodies looked kind of cool. Urban Myth Disillusion looked pretty fucking neat. I don't exactly understand what I was looking at, but it looked cool. Blade Chimera looked cool as well. And HAL released a free demo today, and it looks kind of like a strategy game, but it has to do with, like, folklore and, like, skinwalkers, I think, and, like, werewolves and stuff like that. I don't know. It looks really interesting. So there's that. Yeah. That was it. It was pretty... Wasn't anything major here, I would say, other than Shantae and Core Keepers and Outer Wilds. but there were some pretty decent games here worth checking out. So yeah, a lot of people were expecting Pizza Tower since it got a nomination at the Game Awards, but nope, no Pizza Tower. Yeah, it's not a whole lot, but what was here did look like fun. So yeah, there you go.
Okay. Yeah. That's usually always interesting stuff there. So.
Yeah, and I think that brings us to our Game Awards nominees.
Yeah. I think, the overall game of the year category.
Are we just going straight to that?
Well, it's the first one on the
I don't
list.
like doing that. I feel like that's such a fucking cop out to be like, all right, and game of the yeyear is like, what if they just started the show like that?
They should. That's all anyone cares about, really. They, tip off pretty much, a lot of the other categories where it's gonna go. But I mean, I was just gonna A is the first thing that's on the list. B, I think it's the thing that people care the most about. And C, we predicted 5 of the 6 titles last week, anyways.
We did.
The one that surprised me the most was Mario Wonder, which I don't necessarily disagree. It's not that it's.
I have a theory. Game. I have a theory.
What's your theory?
My theory is they didn't want Tears of the Kingdom to sweep everything, so they put Mario Wonder in the category to split the Nintendo fan base in order to make it so the other games have a chance.
But they don't. It's only what they waited though. So like the only categories where like people totally take the vote are like the dumb ones at the end, right? Like the esports and like those ones. Like they don't. These categories, like it's not a split, or it is a split, right?
90-10, isn't it? It's like something stupid, like where your vote really doesn't even matter. Something like
exactly.
that.
It's like most of the categories are 90% voting jury and then 10% fan votes.
Yeah.
So so it's not like that's really gonna make a huge difference. I don't think.
It doesn't matter. I already know what's winning, so it doesn't matter.
Baldur's Gate?
Yeah. It's easy. Yeah. It's gonna win.
Also notable on here too, every single one of these games is a sequel. There's no like original.
You're right.
Yeah.
And one of them's a remake.
Yeah.
Which I will say I saw a lot of people like being like, should remakes be allowed for Game of the Year? I think with just how good the RE4 remake is, it proved that it deserves to be a remake. It proves that they could make a remake and make it better or as good as the original, and it deserves to be in Game of the Year. Chat.
Yeah,
that's
it really depends on it. Although, speaking of like the remake thing, though, I will say having looked through these categories, Dead Space gets notably shafted through.
Yes, but I do think its category that it is in, it should win.
Yes, that category, it deserves it.
The only one that I would say is like, probably will beat it out and would also deserve it is Alan Wake 2. If anything else in this list wins, they're stupid. RE4's ambience was brought down quite a bit and isn't as good audio design wise. Marvel's Spider-Man's audio design is it's Spider-Man. Hi-Fi Rush, I do think this could be a sleeper hit, like a runaway, because this is the game where every piece of audio is to the beat, and you follow the audio beat in the game to do your attacks. So this is that game where the entire game is rhythm based, and everything that pulses to the beat and moves to the beat, you have to actually use that to your advantage as a way of like timing your attacks and doing that sort of thing. I do think if we were going actually by best in-game audio and sound design, that Dead Space or Alan Wake 3 are like the only 3 that should be in this category. And if we're going like from a technical standpoint, it probably should be Hi-Fi Rush because of how integrated into the game itself the audio design is. But I'm partial to Alan Wake 2. And you're probably partial to Dead Space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there are different reasons. I mean, I honestly, I think for myself, it's, I think some of it depends on, how do I put this? I know they're different categories, but I kind of feel like if Hi-Fi Rush takes the soundtrack category, it doesn't necessarily.
Like it deserves the soundtrack category. Hi-Fi Rush's soundtrack, a lot of it, aside from like obviously the world and that sort of thing, a lot of the soundtrack is like songs already exist. I think if anything deserves the soundtrack category, which I don't remember what's in the soundtrack category. Let me go check. That's score and music. That's Final Fantasy 16. That's just Final Fantasy 16. And that's the only thing Final Fantasy 16 should get. Period.
Which is fair. But then you have stuff on here like Tears of the Kingdom. I'm like, why the fuck is that on here?
I feel the same way for a lot of Tears of the Kingdom nominees. Like, for instance, Best Game Direction. Listen, Tears of the Kingdom is great. It is absolutely Breath of the Wild perfected, right? We're going to go ahead and say that right now. It's basically what Breath of the Wild wants to be, and it did Breath of the Wild better. If this game would have released first and Breath of the Wild would have been a DLC, I would believe you. The issue is, its game direction and innovation comes from building things, and that is it. And then Mario Brothers Wonder's game direction and innovation is the weird levels and elephant and shit like that. And then Marvel Spider-Man 2's is, I don't know, you have a third character, you have 3 characters you can play as now? Like, I don't understand why Marvel Spider-Man 2 is in this category, period. It is just a sequel to an action-adventure game, an open-world action-adventure game that's good, like, really good. But it shouldn't be in game direction. Again, my choice is going to be either Alan Wake or Baldur's Gate 3. That's game direction right there. And I kind of think Baldur's Gate 3 takes it because of the way that they released this game. They've been taking feedback and actually doing what people recommended and changing things based on community feedback for 3 years before releasing this game. That way they could perfect it. And they damn near did, from everything everyone has told me about this game. And I think if more developers actually listen to the people playing their fucking games, then there would be more games that are like this. And also, you gotta give it to Baldur's Gate 3, because developers are literally telling you, fuck off, no one's gonna make a game like Baldur's Gate 3. We don't have the ability to do so. We're not good enough. And you shouldn't expect our games to be good enough. And when you have developers being like, yeah, we suck dick, and they're really good, and don't expect us to get better, that's when it's like, bro, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, you saw that whole fucking thing, the exchange, didn't you?
Yeah, I remember we talked about it.
Fucking Horizon Zero Dawn devs were like, don't expect us to do better. And don't expect Baldur's Gate 3 to be the norm in game quality from now on. It's like, then what is? The same copy and pasted bullshit for the 800th time?
Yeah. But I would say, I know you would kind of poo-pooed on Mario Wonder and Tears of the Kingdom, but I do think that they, in terms of like innovating over their previous iterations, I think they've done more than enough to justify at least being in this category. Whether or not they'll make it, that's another question. But
I don't think Spider-Man deserves to be in this category, period.
Yeah, I don't know what Spider-Man
I don't know why it's here.
I haven't played it, so maybe there's something I don't know, but yeah, I don't. That one seems kind of like an outlier to me. But it seems like that's kind of what they do. Just kind of like last year. They're like, hey, we started with basically like, It seems like the stuff that seems to get nominated the most is kind of how they decide what gets Game of the Year. And then, yeah, so you just have lots of stuff that's just kind of there.
I think the abstract storytelling of Alan Wake 2 is done way better than it was in the original or the games leading up to it, and it's very innovative in the way that the game actually plays out and the way that the story and everything is built around multiple characters and different perspectives of things. I really like that in Alan Wake 2, and I think it deserves it, but I know Baldur's Gate 3 again is going to sweep any category that Baldur's Gate 3 is in, it's winning it. Like, that's just the long and short of it. So, yeah. Have you seen the people asking questions about, like, the Xbox tax online?
No.
So there are people claiming, because there's, like, 0 Xbox games up for any kind of nominees. There's, like, 3, I think, that, like, these games are having to pay the Xbox tax, which is the tax you pay for being a Xbox game, where people shit all over you for no reason whatsoever, when they would have acted like you were the second coming of Christ if you were released on PlayStation or anything else. I don't necessarily agree with it, but there are some cases that I've seen where it's kind of hard to argue against it. When you see things like Kotaku and IGN and The Verge release 20 articles in a day about how bad like Starfield is and repost them every single day for like a week, the week that it releases, and several of them are like quoting people that literally broke the game on purpose in a way to make it look as bad as possible. It's kind of hard to argue against a very clear bias from some of the media against Microsoft. Now Microsoft isn't good. They're not like good people, and I don't particularly like all the things they've done. But like there is definitely some bias in the actual like gaming journalists and media when it comes to releasing a game on Xbox or releasing a game on Game Pass. And I would like to put forward my very specific way of telling you how I know this for a fact. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right. I have already told you how nothing, like just nothing, I feel the new Call of Duty is. And I've already explained to you in this very episode how everyone has felt the same way about the new Call of Duty for years now. And what has always, literally, every single year gotten a nomination for multiplayer game? The answer is Call of Duty.
Has that? I don't remember.
Yes. Every single year that the Game Awards has existed, it has gotten a nomination. And it didn't this year.
Wow. Although I wonder what the cutoff was. It seems like it might be earlier than usual.
So let's think about this. I think you might be right as well. But that, I mean, it's not going to show up next year. Like, we know that. It's not happening.
No.
And also, if you, like, even look, like, best ongoing game, we don't have Warzone or anything in there either.
Yeah.
But we do have Destiny 2, which is not a good fucking game. It's just not. So, yeah. It's weird. Yeah, no, it has best community support. Destiny 2 literally shat on their community all year long and told them to go fuck themselves. And then released one of the worst DLCs that they have ever put out. And they got nominated for best community support.
So interestingly, their cutoff is Friday, November 17th.
Okay.
So
literally, we're not even there at their cutoff yet.
Yeah, so Call of Duty still would have been eligible.
Yeah.
But presumably not, because they're not going to add anything to these lists. Also, interestingly, I think kind of with that in mind, one thing that I'm actually surprised that is not made even like a single appearance on this list with that in mind is the Mario RPG remake.
Maybe because no one's played it yet? Like, I guess it's the 17th, but the 17th is literally the day it releases. If that's the cutoff and they count that, then it's the day it releases.
So their thing, it says games eligible for the Game Awards this year must be available for public consumption on or before Friday, November 17th at 9 p.m.
Oh, wow. Okay. That could have been put in Best RPG. Maybe.
Yeah, could have been put in Best RPG. Definitely could have been in Best Soundtrack.
It wouldn't have won, but...
Yeah. Best family-friendly game. Like, there's definitely some, like, instances where, it could have been reasonable to have it there. So I'm really surprised that it got like nothing. Yeah.
Best ongoing game. Again, Call of Duty's not here. And I don't like Call of Duty. I don't think Call of Duty's that good. But it's not here. And that's just so weird to me. There's not been a single year that Call of Duty hasn't been here. But like, it's the big thing that pushed the ABK deal. It's the big thing that pushed all this sort of shit. And it's like, you look at the kind of shit that people are putting out that are journalists, that are people that are actually on the the judges for the nominees and everything, and a lot of them have been shitting on COD and Activision since the ABK deal and shitting on Microsoft and this, that, and the other, and just continuously going after them. Mm-hmm. Like, almost like they have a vendetta against them. And it's kind of weird. And I do feel, in some cases, the Xbox tax might actually be a thing when you, like, look at the way journalists act. Like, journalists are kind of biased. But we already knew that because we've experienced it before in the past. We've seen it happen before in the past, and you really shouldn't take anything a journalist says with, like, any form of, like this entire, all these nominees, all this shit, it's just bullshit. It's bullshit. It's all bullshit. None of this actually fucking matters, because, like, some of the best games that released this year aren't even in here, but whatever, it doesn't matter. And some of these picks are fucking awful. I guess that's what I wanted to get to. Best ongoing game. This is where I wanted to talk about. Best ongoing game. Apex Legends, Final Fantasy XIV, Fortnite, Genshin Impact, and Cyberpunk 2077. That one right there. Cyberpunk 2077. Two things. One, it's not an ongoing game. They said that after the last DLC, they're done, and there is no more Cyberpunk 2077 until a sequel comes out. So, how are you an ongoing game if you aren't ongoing anymore? You understand what I'm saying?
But I mean, it says right in the description, awarded a game for outstanding development of ongoing content that involves the player experience over time.
But we're not developing any more content. They said they're done developing content for Cyberpunk 2077, and they're working on a sequel.
Yeah, but this DLC that came out this year is new.
But this doesn't say the DLC. This just says the game.
But that's what they're talking about. Like, obviously.
But also, why should expansions be like, okay, when I think ongoing, I think of something like Splatoon 3. I think of something like Fortnite. I think of something like Genshin Impact. I think of something like Final Fantasy XIV or Apex Legends. I don't think of a company that released patches to fix their broken game and then released a DLC.
I mean, I think like No Man's Sky's been in this category before.
It sure has, and every single thing they released was free and done over time without any prior announcement, and and you didn't have to, like, you know.
I mean, I don't disagree with you. This definitely is kind of like one of these things is not like the other.
100%.
Which I think, means it's probably less likely to get this award. Yeah. It's probably going to go to like Fortnite or something.
I think it's going to go to Genshin.
Okay.
But I don't want it to go to Genshin. I will go to best multiplayer because we talked about that, and I talked about how Call of Duty isn't on this list. Out of everything on this list, I just don't get it. Like, I guess Baldur's Gate 3 is going to win, but I feel like Baldur's Gate 3 is just put into categories just to win, and it doesn't make any sense to me. Because Diablo 4 is not winning. Party Animals is not winning. Maybe Mario Brothers Wonder. And Street Fighter 6, as much as I fucking love it, and it is my vote, it's not winning. But Baldur's Gate 3 is like, oh, okay, sure, whatever. Baldur's Gate 3, that's a great game. I'll vote for that. And it just doesn't... Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's always a problem that they have. Like I said, a lot of these games... it's not always. Sometimes they surprise us. Like, the game that sweeps a lot of the categories occasionally does not take home Game of the Year, but it seems like there seems to be usually a favorite.
Well, looking at these in this list, I think basically everything that Baldur's Gate 3 is in, it's going to win. I think this is going to be the Baldur's Gate 3 awards and nothing else.
I mean, there are worse things that it could be game-wise.
Yeah, I do agree, but also it's like, it just seems like there's a lot of nominees here that deserve Game of the Year, but only one of them is 100% going to get it, and it's it's not even close. Like, it feels weird to me that it's put into some of these categories. That's my main takeaway, more or less.
Mm-hmm.
I am sure if they could put best debut indie game, they would have put fucking Baldur's Gate 3 in here too, and they would have taken everything.
Best Dungeons and Dragons game.
This mobile game, Baldur's Gate 3. Alright, there's a few other weird ones that I wanted to point out. This one was brought up online. Apparently, under best indie independent game, we have Dave the Diver in here, and I did not know that Mint Rocket is actually a subsidiary of Nexon, going under a different name, and they're just a different name, but they're still Nexon, which is not an independent developer.
Interesting.
So that's kind of interesting to me. And then some of the things that I think Tears of the Kingdom showed up in, I don't agree.
Like which ones?
Well, first of all, I don't think it deserves to be in game direction, but that's just me. Second of all,
well, what would you replace it with then?
Oh, for best game direction?
Mm-hmm.
Hi-Fi Rush.
And what would you replace Spider-Man with?
That's a good question.
I mean, listen, I think that, in terms of what they built that category as, which is outstanding creative vision and innovation in game direction design.
You know what? Fine, it could stay then. I'll replace Spider-Man with Hi-Fi Rush.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Like I said, just kind of like that ability to build and create things like that. I mean, in the midst of like all the other mechanics in that game, I think it's pretty impressive. Like it definitely lends itself to a lot of creativity and different experiences for a lot of people. Some people are building wild shit.
You're right.
Like robots and Rube Goldberg machines and all those things.
Yeah, you're right.
So, I mean, like I said, I think that one really kind of it gives itself a unique identity just because of that aspect. Listen, I don't know about Spider-Man, so I really can't say enough there. And then Mario Wonder, well, it's fun. I have a really hard time kind of seeing where that is. It's crazy, but I don't think it does anything like so wildly innovative that it needs to be. It's innovative for a 2D Mario game. I don't think it's innovative for general platformers. So, yeah.
Yeah. All right, I do want to. There's a few other things I want to touch on that, and then I'm done. All right. One of the other things here is that there's best esports coach, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Zotix. I don't know what the guy's name is, but it's Remy for Counter-Strike Team Vitality. He even messaged them and said, "I didn't coach anyone this year. Why am I on this list?" So, apparently they didn't even do their research when it comes to things like that, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
The other thing is best sports and racing game. I don't like any of these. Normally it's an easy win for Forza, but I think if Forza wins, then no one was paying attention to games that released this year, because Forza was absolute dog shit this year. So, yeah. And then best adaptation. This was a really interesting one. I think this is not new, but I think there's a really stacked amount of adaptations here this year.
I don't remember if did they have this category last year?
They had it before in the past. Because I remember them having it for Castlevania at one point, and for the Prince of Persia movie or the Uncharted movie. I remember one of those was in the category at one point. So
maybe it was last year.
Yeah, Cyberpunk Edgerunners won last year, didn't it?
Because I remember being like, Uncharted. Like, I'll watch that.
All right. Out of these, I think there are 3 really good picks here.
Yeah?
Yeah. So I was seeing The Last of Us, and I think that's really fucking good. And I think it would be, if it's the winner, it deserves it. Easily. Okay. I have not seen Mario Brothers movie, but I know how much everyone loved this movie and how, I guess accepted it was, and like how much people warmed up to it, even though they gave Chris Pratt so much shit for playing Mario initially, and then people were just like, no, the movie's really fucking good. And I think the actual sleeper hit here is Twisted Metal. This show was really fucking good. Like, it was so fun to watch. I think Twisted Metal is excellent. I like all 3 of them, but it would probably be The Last of Us for me.
I think The Last of Us is a solid choice all around. I think that's probably the one that will win.
Absolutely, and it deserves it. They did an excellent job with it. Like, just from top to bottom.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
There's
very, very true to its source material, which I feel like is difficult for a lot of things.
Yeah. So like I said, I'm just gonna go through like 2 more things really quickly. Actually, this one I want to take a little bit of time. Most anticipated game. Did you see this list?
I did. We were wondering about what was on there, so I was like, I wonder what it's gonna be.
Yeah, I didn't even know Star Wars Outlaws was a thing in existence, and I also don't care.
Mm-hmm.
But like these other 4 games that are here, it's really fucking hard. It is really fucking hard to choose. This is like the most stacked category I feel out of the entire thing.
Which is funny because you're like, well, last week we were talking about like we don't know, like
Yeah.
Final Fantasy, I guess.
Yeah, Tekken 8 I'm so excited for because I love Tekken and I'm actually super surprised it's in here. Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, I guess the Yakuza games are finally getting some fucking recognition and I'm super happy to see that. So we got a Yakuza game on the fucking anticipated games list.
Mm-hmm.
I'm super happy for that. Hades 2, I mean the original was excellent. I believe you played it as well.
I did not. Nick did.
Oh, Nick did. Okay, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
You should play Hades. You should definitely play Hades. Just saying, it's a very good game. Yeah, the first game was excellent, and I'm pretty excited that I think this is the first sequel the Supergiant has ever made. So,
Mm-hmm.
so that should tell you something. And man, this was my pick, which was Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, but it's so hard to choose out of all 4 of these. And it's like by a hair that it's Rebirth, and I'm so sad that I ended up picking it over Like a Dragon. But like, holy shit, dude! The ending of Final Fantasy VII remastered, I mean remake, it was just batshit insane.
Mm-hmm.
And I seen the trailer for this one, and I just need to know where we're going with this. Like, what the fuck is going to happen? And this releases like 2 days after my birthday, so it's probably gonna be my birthday present for myself.
Yeah, I mean that's a nice birthday present. Not a bad
Mm-hmm.
one. What other category did you want to talk about?
Did you see Pikmin 4 got in here?
I did. I think it deserves that category. I was actually just looking at it. Where was it? Best Sim Strategy.
Yeah.
Oh, but you know, we'll probably win Fire Emblem Engage. Da, 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 da. No, I
Please
don't think
don't.
so. I think honestly, Pikmin 4 is at least of the 3
A lot of
Nintendo
people
games here.
love Pikmin 4.
Yeah, it's a great game, and it's very out of the Nintendo games here. Definitely, I would say the strongest
Yeah,
of the 3.
I think it's the strongest out of every game here.
Yeah.
This Skyline 2 ran like dog shit. Company of Heroes 3 is just, it's okay. It's pretty good, but like Pikmin 4, from everything I've seen, because I've seen a few people play it, this game just looks like so much fun. I really want to play it.
Yeah, it's excellent. You know, Advance Wars 1 and 2 is great too, but I mean that game is like straight up and down remake. So
Yeah.
just with, you know, nicer graphics.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's always a harder sell. Be like, hey, you know, here's a really nice looking version of a game we played 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Not a bad game by any means. It's definitely a lot of good fun. There's a lot of content there, but it is just, you know, it is just literally like a graphics on Palm. Pikmin 4 though adds a lot of new content, adds a lot of things to do, and I think it's easily the strongest thing that's on there. The other category I really want to talk about, actually, myself, is Best RPG, and it's more notable for the appearance of Starfield.
Yeah.
Mario RPG can't get put anywhere on this nominees list, and then they're like, yeah, Starfield, definitely a better contender.
So here's the thing. Looking at these choices here, right?
Yeah.
First of all, Final Fantasy 16 felt more like a Devil May Cry action game than it did an RPG. So I don't necessarily agree with Final Fantasy 16 being on this list. Next, Lies of P. It's a Souls-like, and I feel like Souls-like games weren't in the RPG category last year.
I would think that unless there's some mechanic I don't know about this game, Souls-like games generally are in the action adventure.
That's
category.
what I thought too, but I'm not 100% sure. I wish I could see the like nominees from. Maybe I can.
Oh, I'm sure you can.
2002.
2002.
I mean 2022. Okay, yeah, okay, all right. I can see. Let's see RPG real quick. Oh no, Elden Ring was an RPG. So you know what? Fine. Carry on. That's fine. Lies of P should be here then, probably.
Okay.
It's a good game. It's a really good game. But it's a shame that literally anything is in this category because Baldur's Gate 3 is winning.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And I kind of feel like that is why Starfield is in this category, because they know it won't win.
Yeah, I feel like that's just kind of like a pity thing. Like, we'll throw it in there because it was a really hyped RPG and it's Bethesda, but it's not gonna win.
Nope.
No. So, yeah, which is too bad. I think though, in terms of things that I want to talk about, I think those are like the big things.
I think the same for me, other than Content Creator of the Year, and I'm super happy to see Iron Mouse is here. I'm so happy that Iron Mouse is here. She has been through so much, and I love Iron Mouse. I bought one of her limited edition T-shirts, and I've always liked her since she was super indie. So yeah. In case you don't know, Iron Mouse is a VTuber who doesn't ever show what they actually look like, and instead just uses a character that they have created themselves. And they were one of the pioneering indie VTubers who has become so big now that she is the most subscribed to person on Twitch TV.
Oh, nice.
And
I remember you talking about that before.
Yeah, she got nominated for Content Creator of the Year, and that's honestly fucking incredible.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
So, yeah. What's your pick for Game of the Year? That's what I want to know.
From this list?
Yeah. I'm going to say this, right? I'm going to preference this. You don't have to have played the game. You can go purely by...
Oh, like who I think is going to win?
No. Who you would pick from not playing... Even if you didn't play any of these games, who do you think would you pick as like Game of the Year?
Oh, if I had not played any of them.
Based on reception from what you've seen around.
But then if you say that, then it's who I think is going to win. And who I think is going to win is going to be Baldur's Gate 3.
I mean, I guess you could just say who you think is going to win. Yeah, because like that's how I feel also.
Yeah,
I feel like
Baldur's Gate 3 is going to win.
Is going to win.
I mean, if I went for like my personal preferences in terms of games that I like and maybe not have played, I think probably Alan Wake 2, I think would be,
Alan Wake 2 is my vote for Game of the Year. Out of these categories, out of these picks, out of these that I can pick from, it is my pick for Game of the Year.
Yeah, I mean, I think that sounds like, kind of where it is.
It's also my pick for Game Direction and Best Narrative. It is all three of the major categories. I voted Alan Wake 2.
Okay.
Direction, I voted for Hi-Fi Rush. That game's just fucking incredible.
In terms of games that I have played on this list, it probably would be Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure will win some categories. I'm really not sure which ones, though.
But
honestly,
do you honestly think Tears of the Kingdom deserves to win if it were to win? Even after you played it. And just, like, take out of the equation that you played it and that you enjoyed it and everything, do you think the game itself deserves to win and be as highly praised as it is?
Yeah, I think so. I think it did a lot of nice things. I think that, Game of the Year, just like anything else, it's all very subjective, and it all depends
it's just a popularity contest.
Yeah, it all depends on, what group of people you have in there, too. Because, you're going to have people that are going to be biased towards certain things. You're going to have people that are going to be biased against certain things. So, those kind of things are on there. But, like I said, I think Tears of the Kingdom, if you look at it as a standalone kind of experience, if it was to be put up for a Game of the Year, I think it deserves it. I think that's not incredible. Mario, like I said before, Mario Wonder, I feel like I would have a harder time justifying. Like, if for some reason it walked out of that category as a win, I'd be like, I don't know about that
weird.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel similarly, kind of like, I guess maybe we didn't talk about this category, art direction. But Tears of the Kingdom appears there too, and that's another one where I'm kind of like, not really sure why you're there.
Yeah,
you really didn't do that much art-wise, especially different from Breath of the Wild. And Mario Wonder, I feel like, is more appropriate in that category than otherwise.
Out of all of them, I feel like it has to be Hi-Fi Rush or Alan Wake 2 or Lies of P. Those three games are like, their art direction is on point. Just fantastic.
Yeah, and I feel like a little bit more appropriate there. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Actually, even in terms of like best score and direction, I feel like Mario Wonder is a stronger nominee than Tears of the Kingdom. Because it was some cool stuff there.
What? You mean like best score in music?
Yeah, best score in music. Sorry, I said direction. Best score in music. I feel like Mario.
So I want to share a story with you that I heard, which is actually crazy. Final Fantasy XVI's composer composed the entire soundtrack while going through cancer treatment.
Good
That is insane to me, because that soundtrack is fucking amazing.
Yeah, good for them. Finally, yeah, I got lots to do. Let's get it done. I want this stuff. I want to get it out there, just in case. So, yeah,
Yeah.
no, that is pretty awesome. Anything else on the Game Awards you want to talk about?
What do you think we're gonna see
in terms of like news stuff?
Trailers, that sort of thing? Yeah.
Maybe Grand Theft Auto. Maybe
I think GTA 6 is gonna be there.
Jeff Keighley was suspiciously creeping around those rumors, so
yeah,
possible. Otherwise, I don't know. I feel like generally speaking, people get hyped up about the new announcements for the Game Awards, and they're really never exciting. So
I think some of them are. I think like FF7 was the remake for that, and then the announcement of the second part of the remake during his announcement of his Summer Games thing this year or last year. I don't remember which one it was, but I feel like those announcements have been pretty fucking spot on. Shenmue 3, which I believe was also at the Game Awards, that was a huge announcement. Yes, the game isn't good, but that was a massive fucking announcement. That may have been also at E3. I don't remember where the fuck it came from. I thought it was at Game Awards. I don't know now. You know what? Maybe you're right. Maybe Game Awards just mixes together with everything else.
I know Final Fantasy VII, like the remake, was initially announced at E3.
Well, fuck it then. Never mind. I don't know.
I don't know about the other bets. Nintendo stuff. I mean, Nintendo will give them like little bones here and there occasionally. They'll be like, oh, like what was it? Joker for Smash was announced.
Yeah, I was gonna say Smash Brothers stuff was announced there before.
But it's not like it's never like a big new title. They'll just be like, yeah, here's this. Or they'll be like, oh, Cranky Kong for Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze. And you're like, eh.
Did you see the leak?
What?
Jeff Keighley in Fortnite. Jeff Keighley is a character in Fortnite. It was leaked, and I was like, that's fucking wild.
You have to get him to play as him. What else from the Game Awards?
I think we'll have some kind of new mobile game announced that will be like a huge fucking hit. I think that we will see more from Final Fantasy VII, another trailer for it, part 2, whatever. I also think we'll probably see something from Stalker, since that's supposed to be coming out soon. Maybe some Microsoft stuff, which is the reason why they gave Starfield a pity party in RPG. And I do also think that we will probably get a trailer for the Borderlands movie that has been in development hell for quite a while. So
yeah, it seems like it's a place where you usually get a lot of those kind of announcements, so I could see that happening.
I don't necessarily care for any of that. But yeah, I mean, I don't think we're gonna get anything major other than possibly GTA 6, and then like that's really it. And looking at the way Rockstar has been talking about GTA 6, I don't know if I care.
I mean, the game's not coming. I think even the rumors are like, game's not coming out till 2025 at the earliest.
Yeah.
So it's not like that game's even remotely on the horizon.
There's that, and then there's also, you have to take into account, right? GTA 5 released in 2013. That was the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3.
Mm-hmm.
That was a very different time. I do think that the game will be sanitized a lot and will have a lot of its satire and stuff removed, because modern people can't tell the difference between satire and actually like being okay with something. I do think a lot of things that made GTA will be gone in GTA 6.
I think they will still push boundaries.
I don't think they will. I think they'll be too afraid to, and I think that's the reason why it's taken so long, because they're afraid of what will happen.
I think it's been taking too long because they've just been making mad bank off GTA Online.
They have, but I also do think it has something to do with the current landscape of like society as a whole. And I don't think they can get away with some of the stuff they've done in the past again. I don't know. I have a bad feeling about GTA 6, like a legitimate bad feeling. Like I saw where the rumors like floating around was that you play as a family, and like you actually have a child that you have to take care of at some points as one of the characters, and a lot of people were like, that's not okay, there shouldn't be parents in GTA. And then like it's just like but let me just tell you this, in case you never played GTA 5, you play as a parent in GTA 5.
Okay. Random.
He's a piece of shit, but he is a father of like two teenagers, if you remember. So like a lot of people like on social media were just being like, I don't think that's okay. And it's like they were like saying that about a lot of stuff to do with GTA. Like there was a video of someone playing GTA 4 and they went into the hospital, which you can go into. It's one of the enterable buildings, and they it killed a bunch of people and everything, as you do in GTA. And like there was like a long list of people that were like, you should be put on a watch list. This is disgusting behavior, and acting like insulted that someone was playing GTA as you're supposed to play GTA. And when I see responses to GTA like that in modern society, first of all, I feel like Jack Thompson won, and second of all, I feel like Rockstar's got to be seeing things like this also and being like, what can we and can't we do anymore? And I do think that's going to be a big part of this game. I think a lot of things are going to be tapered back. There's going to be a lot less freedom, and it's going to be a lot more of playing characters than it is being able to go and do anything. A lot like you could do stuff in Red Dead, but some things were very like, you have to follow this trail, you have to do this thing, you have to do this thing, and if you do the bad thing, then a lot of people are going to make your life hell to the point where like you can't do the bad thing anymore. And that happened in Red Dead Redemption 2 quite a bit, and there were actual consequences to being a gigantic piece of shit. And I do feel like that was kind of Rockstar like testing the waters, being like, what should we do to punish these people for doing the horrible things so that people don't point to us and be like, how dare you make a game like that? And I do feel like a lot of that is going to carry over into GTA 6.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll find out. You're right, it is a very different time from when Grand Theft Auto 5 came out. But I also feel like, though, if they like soften it up too much, that will just kill that game too.
Just like what happened with Saints Row.
Yeah, they have a fine line to walk on.
They do.
What else?
I really don't have that much else to talk about. I'm thinking of buying Mario RPG.
It's going to be excellent. I'm very excited about it. I was actually going to talk about that super fast before we finish the episode. Because the game is leaked, we finally know who actually made it. Because we didn't know who was developing it all this time.
Okay.
It's a little studio called Art Piazza, which they're most well known as like the Dragon Quest remake studio.
Oh, okay. That's a pretty decent studio, huh?
Yeah, I mean the Dragon Quest stuff that they've worked on has been pretty good. Like with Dragon Quest 11, I actually think their role was the 2D Dragon Quest.
Oh, cool.
11, yeah. They've done some cool stuff. Obviously, they're very familiar with Square Enix, so I think that definitely, I'm assuming, very well trusted with them. So that makes them a good fit for that. Make sure things are going smoothly. I guess they were given. I don't.
It's also made in Unity, isn't it?
Yes, that was also something that came out with the leak of the game. But supposedly they were given kind of like, well, I think they gauged this from the credits, but basically there's like no Square Enix people on staff, so they're basically like, the assumption is they're basically given free reign to just do this remake as they found fit.
Interesting.
Yeah. So whether or not that's the case, who knows? It's kind of speculation based on the credits list, but everything seems like it checks out in terms of what's there. Everything I've seen of it so far, and I said this last week, it looks great. I've seen even more since last week. It is confirmed there's a new boss in this game that did not exist in the original. So that's exciting. So it'll be interesting to see, what ends up coming out of this. So I don't see any reason to think that this game is going to have any issues. I didn't even see someone who's like a speedrunner for Mario RPG basically being like, hey, like as far as I can tell, this game is like, if you're looking for a version to play the game, doesn't matter which way you go. It seems like they're both comparable in terms of content and quality.
Very interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, I thought that was kind of. I feel like that's kind of a good endorsement for it. But yeah, no, it looks like it's going to be very good. I'm very excited about it. If anything, I'm excited for it just for the music. Like I was playing through the Tetris 99 like things. Once you like go through the challenge or whatever, you get to unlock that theme and you can play for it whenever. So I was playing through it just to listen to more music.
Did I miss that? I did, didn't I?
Yeah, I think it ended yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, no, so it gives you some music. So you get like the normal battle music. It has, I think, the boss battle music. If you lose, it plays like the sad kind of mellow music.
Mm-hmm.
And if you win, it plays like the level up theme. Or I guess it's just kind of, it might be the same music whenever you win a battle. I can't remember. But anyways, yeah, no, it's good stuff. So the music is just absolutely euphoric to me. Like it's a game I played through like a billion times. So just to hear it just so beautifully remastered, I love it. Mm-hmm. And like I said, that's also kind of one of the reasons why to see it just completely disregarded from the Game Awards just kills me. If you're gonna throw it in any category, even if you don't care if it wins, just throw it in something like that and I would be happy. But
yeah.
But yeah, no, it looks, like I said, it looks absolutely exquisite. I'm really happy with. There's certain things that people had questions with how they would handle with the remake, and I'm very happy with the way that they handled such things.
You want to know what I would do? I would 110% replace Starfield with Mario RPG.
Yeah, no, billion percent. Like that game, why is Starfield's on there? It's literally just a pity category thing.
Yeah, there were people actually fighting on Twitter like Starfield got snubbed. And you know what? As someone that played Starfield, nah. Absolutely not.
No, it didn't. Yeah, no.
Starfield does not deserve to be anywhere near the Game of the Year category nominees because it is worse than the game that came out fucking 12 years ago. That's coming off the back of. It is worse than it. It's just not good.
Yeah. Although, I kind of wonder with, Mario RPG if they were too scared to put it in categories from the NDAs. Because even though the game is physically releasing, I feel like if they had to justify it on those lists, they were like, well, how can we do it?
You know what I'm actually kind of surprised about? We didn't see the Five Nights at Freddy's movie on the best adaptation.
No, that's a good point.
I actually thought that was a really good movie.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, that seems like it's a reasonable thing to be on that list too. Also surprising. And it's always the tricky thing, when you do Game of the Year kind of mid-year. That's kind of why, when we do it from, January to December, but we don't do the nominees and stuff until January. Because, everything's already out. You're not, sometimes, we'll lag behind in, finishing things maybe from the previous year, but everything's out. There's not any, unknown quantities. You can kind of fill in the gaps with some, information if you need to get it, but everything's there. But when you're kind of like this one, it's weird. It's the cutoff time is the 17th, but the nominees were out a week beforehand. So stuff that comes out after this just doesn't make sense. How I would assume a lot of people making the nominations would have access to those games, but it's really, especially with Nintendo, considering how tight they are with a lot of their games, you would think a lot of people who have the ability to nominate things wouldn't necessarily even have the ability to nominate something like that. So, because they just haven't physically played it. It's interesting. So, I don't know. Yeah, no, Mario RPG is going to be great. I think that's all I had news-wise, though. I don't think there was anything else terribly exciting. I don't know if you had anything else.
No, I think I'm good.
All right, ready to wrap up then?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Well, then, thank you everyone for listening to us tonight. Don't forget to find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google, Amazon, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. Also, our website, game-crunch.com, has all of the old episodes. If you want to reach out to us, we're on Facebook, or you can send us an email, gamecrunchcast@gmail.com. Brandon?
Yep.
Any final thoughts?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Well, that said, my name is Mike Anastasia. You can find me online in Clash of Penguin there or on your favorite gaming console. Until next week, game on.
Game on. Then it arrived at my house yesterday, and they left a slip in my mailbox saying, the package is too big to fit in your mailbox. And I'm like, well fucking no shit. Like, what the fuck?
Did they leave it there?
No. I had to reschedule them to come back tomorrow.
Oh my god, so stupid. Yeah, no, some shipping things make no sense to me. Like, even with, when I got the last batch of Amiibos, and they're Best Buy, but kind of like the same thing. So you think, like, I ordered a Zelda one and a Ganondorf one, and you would think, like, hey, these are both going to the same address. Why don't we package them together? No, we do not do that. Let's send them separately, which is fine. You know, whatever makes sense for shipping. It doesn't affect me because it's free shipping anyways. But the thing that boggled my mind is not only did they ship them separately, they shipped them with different companies, even though they both came from the same location.